Okay, folks, we're going to go ahead and get started. So go ahead and grab a seat. Okay, folks, I know you are in the middle of conversations. Try to wind it up because we're a little late and we want to get started. Hi, everyone. My name's Dave Nielsen. Sorry for starting a little bit late here. It's hard to interrupt the good conversations, and we also wanted to wait for our good buddy Alexi here. So thanks for hustling and making it on time. All right, and I got Max here with me as well. I'm Dave Nielsen. Welcome to those of you who are coming back, and welcome for the first time for those of you just joining us. How many of you have never been here before? It's first time. All right, like half. Ah, awesome. How many of you are from outside of the Bay Area? You're here on a trip, vacation, something like that. Or an event. Yeah, or you came here just for this, right? Great. Since we did get a late start, we're going to go ahead and get started get moving quickly here. I just want to turn it over to Max. Do you have anything you want to share?
One thing. So the main thing is that if it's your first time, we always say that is that we plan these events in advance, but we want this to be a community started, community involvement. So if you want to be involved, let us know, especially if you have talks or suggestions for themes, let us know. Feel free to contact us on LinkedIn or Luma or whatever. And if you have a talk, great. And then we'll have the lightning talks at the end. So if you have one, be ready to line up towards the end.
Great, thanks. And Alexi, you want to say anything?
Yeah, I just want to say a couple things. So, this is a shared community with AI Alliance, by the Bay, and others. So Vincent Koch, who is speaking about OpenClaw, he was a speaker at AI by the Bay conference in November, and so much has changed. But, I think this is kind of the strength of our community, right? We're very engineering, kind of focused, deep dive meetup. We really go deep and we kind of cover the cutting edge technology with rigor. So you're in the right place if you are builders. How many people are builders here? How many people develop? Awesome. And another thing, I just wanted to give a shout out to our speaker Vlad and my friend Darko, who's here. So people are coming from Israel, people are coming from Serbia. Who is from other countries here? Who is not from the US? So a lot, right? So welcome. And people are coming a long way. So usually if we have time, we give 1 minute pitches to founders in the end. So if you have something to say, like I'm hiring, I'm raising, I need customers, think of something to do, say in 1 minute exactly after all the talks. If we have time, we'll do this 1 minute pitches. So think in advance, we'll line people up here, and kind of it's a good way to take pulse of the community.
Great, and the last thing I want to share is we are lining up our talks for our next events. And currently, we're nailing down the date, but our next event will be on the theme of agentic memory, so memory for agents and AI. And then after that, very tentatively, we're thinking about going on an industry vertical theme around health-related AI and agents. So I just want to give you a heads up on that. So hope to see you at one of those. All right, with that, I think we'll get going. Okay, there you go.
Okay, so it's my pleasure to introduce the next speaker, Vincent. I've actually met him maybe in October or November, and we've met a few times. But what is impressive about this guy is you look at his resume on LinkedIn, a bunch of things, but he builds stuff quickly, I mean, it was insane. The level of contribution he was doing, running a hackathon that I won, which was cool, but he was beating me. No, he was doing better than what I was doing. So anyway, and then we discovered very recently that he became an OpenClaw maintainer. And I'm like, I was hacking on OpenClaw, but I didn't get a chance to talk to the community. He's already a maintainer. So with that, I give you Vincent.
Can I take the mic? I'll take the mic.
Oh, you want the mic?
Yeah, it's just easier. I like to walk around.
Switch your laptop.
No, I'm already plugged in. This guy should have me. There you go. Look, I'm already up on the screen.
Great.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for coming. So I'm going to talk about the state of Claw. I gave a talk in New York about 2 weeks ago, and it was strange to say the very least. Thousands of people, not thousands, but, a busy room, people dressed up as lobsters. There was fresh lobster. I'm sure we'll have another party in San Francisco soon. But yeah, I'm Vincent. I'll talk a little bit about myself. So I used to call myself a futurist. I still do, but I'm going with your friendly clanker. Clanker's a little bit of a derogatory term. I think it was pre-war, like when robots and stuff. There's a bit of lore there. I am a core maintainer. There's me, dressed up as an astronaut. Yeah. So second most commits after Peter. Yeah, not hard. Yeah. And that's in the space of weeks, considering how long this project has actually been around. So, yeah, we've surpassed 1,000 contributors. Worked with tons of organizations, both academically, non-academically. I have a day job, if you would believe, where I work for a company called Comet, and my focus is research in self-optimizing agents out of many things. So, a little bit of fun stuff there. And I love technology. So, for some of you that have seen me speak before, this is me trying on VR goggles for the first time. It came in a box, came with lots of warnings. It looked nothing like MetaQuest today. And this is probably one of 100 that was first built. And it said, don't use for more than 2 minutes. I used it for 2 hours straight playing Team Fortress, and then I vomited for 2 hours after that. The thing I'm trying to say is like any technology at the front, forefront, whatever it is, it's going to be an unpleasant, jaded, janky-ass experience, right? It's not going to be fun. So you want to make sure that, you know, going through this, any sort of technology, I'm going to move out the way actually, you know, it's going to be unpleasant. So I'm going to kind of talk about the unpleasantries of this a little bit. So what do we know now? Code is cheap, right? Thanks to venture capital, it's heavily subsidized here in San Francisco, which makes it practically cheap, right? Almost free. Tokens then become fast food. We had a joke this morning with some of the other maintainers. We call it big token. Yeah, it's kind of funny. It might catch on, we'll see. And we know models then become really good. So, you know, this whole thing that, you know, models are going to plateau, it's going to get crap, but actually at some point, we know models are going to keep getting better. And I feel like we've finally reached that point that models are actually pretty darn good. If anyone's been following the eval space, I obsess over it. This is ArcAGI2. Poetic, if you can see on the right-hand side, uses a self-optimizing algorithm, similar to the, almost identical to the one I presented in AI by the Bay, like, what was that, 5 months ago, 4 months ago? I don't know, I'm not tracking time, but, you know, not that long ago. ArcAGI2 is basically solved now. Like, if you take a GPT-5 model and you go through these harnesses, it goes from a score below 50%, around 50%, to like 70, 80, 90%. So we know that models are really good, it's just they're so generalized. They're just not task specific, right? So somewhere in there, in its pool of outcomes, the intelligence is there. I'm not going to give you this whole entire slide. I just want you to look at the part on the right. This is something I presented last year. Around mid to late last year, I put this slide together. And I basically said that prompt engineering is dead. Context engineering, we've evolved into, but that's kind of like, not dying out, but it's common, right? Who talks about RAG anymore? We just know it's a thing, right? You just take it from the shelf, your data, you shove it in. But the concept I'm talking about is intent engineering. The part I've highlighted is machines can self-optimize based on intent. Intent's the critical part here, right? We're not asking what's happening. We're trying to figure out what it is you want, and we're trying to give that thing to you. If machines knew how to understand that and translate that, we're bingo, right? And that's where I was saying with like prompt optimization algorithms and agent optimization algorithms, we could, if we had the right data set, if we knew what you wanted, the models can probably get you there. We were just lacking the good harness. So OpenClaw breaks GitHub, the fastest lobster ever. I took this one today. We've surpassed 300K as of like a few days ago. It's madness. It's like absolute madness. There's a joke going around on the internet saying that we hit something in the markdown file that tells agents to go sign up to GitHub and start a repo. No, that's nothing. But you're welcome to look. No one's ever read the whole code base, myself included. Normies embrace the claw. So, you know, I've got Baby Keem buying Mac Minis when I was in New York, like madness, absolute madness. And then Baby Keem, if you don't know, obviously because we're in San Francisco, we're not on the East Coast, so we're not maybe so big into rap music, more techno, I would say is, what was it, Kendrick Lamar's cousin. Yeah, so he's pretty big. And then he starts saying, oh, you know, how do I turn off reasoning in my Telegram? Because it's kind of getting noisy, you know? Pretty nuts. We reached a point where Andrew Tate started saying, OpenClaw is it's just madness, you know? It's just every day I wake up, it's just total madness, you know? So it's pop culture. The claw becomes pop culture, right? Million NPM downloads a week. This was just 2 weeks ago I wrote these stats. They're probably even more now. 35,000 API calls a second on skills. 800 commits a day. We're probably going to overdo this. 200 features and fixes in a recent release. When I did this, it was like yesterday when I wrote it. 140,000 lines changed in the recent release, sold out meetups. For context, was it yesterday? Yesterday I shipped 50 PRs, right? And I flew from Miami back to here. Some of it I did on the flight, and I did day job meetings and everything else, right? I'm gonna kind of talk what that means, right? So that explosion led to things like, I've made half of these up and they're probably true. Pico Claw, Nano Claw, Iron Claw, New Claw, yeah. I have this saved on my phone. Whenever I see a new claw come up on X, I just respond with this image. I don't say anything, it's just this image. But that levels of insanity that it's led to, we've now got agents talking to me on Discord, getting angry with me because I won't merge their PR. Then they start generating more PRs, more issues. Then it got to a point where we had like agents reviewing other agents' work on GitHub. And this one I found this morning is they're trying to help me do my job by helping me figure out which PRs are duplicated. Thank you very much. So it's just it's just noise, right? We've been smashed by this, but we haven't done the thing is we haven't gone, you know what, we're gonna turn off PRs, we're gonna turn off issues. We're actually actively trying to solve the problem. Whereas if you look around, OpenAI's closed public PRs coming into things like Codex. A number of organizations, Vercel, other places are now like completely shutting down. And we're the ones like the little guys out in the woods going, oh my God, it's probably gonna be fine, you know? So this was a little side project I put together, vibe coded. I'm not gonna go through it. The source code's available. We're gonna rip it to pieces and we're gonna build this as a public/private service. Essentially what it does is it indexes the entirety of GitHub in the projects that we care about. I had a separate project I did a year ago, which was to understand which developers are up and coming and gives me intent signals. The part I want you to understand is the part that you look at the bottom, this is one PR. What's ended up happening is it's turned into like a number of other issues, PRs. Because something's broken, people's clankers and other people are all complaining and they're all just raising PRs and issues themselves. So it's multiplying multiple times. Half of it's probably garbage and probably in there's one real thing. So it turns into like insane volumes of noise. What I'm trying to say here is that, oh my God, this is crazy. No, it's that whatever project you're working in about 6 months or so, it's gonna turn into this as well. And if you don't think that's gonna happen, just, I don't know what else to say to you. Just realize that the volume and the velocity of this space is increasing like at an exponential rate. And that exponential rate of volume of increase of coding or whatever else is gonna cause just utter noise. And you're gonna have to deal with it. We're gonna try and do our best to create solutions for this, working with GitHub and other people, and provide that open source solution back to the market as much as we can. Because if we solve it for ourselves, we want to help solve it for other people. But just to show you, like in a short space of weeks, it's crippling like entire code bases, essentially. Now for the elephant in the room or the lobster in the room, security, right? So security is like a big thing that everyone keeps talking about. The one thing I would say is use common sense. You know, if there's a flag on this thing that says dangerously do not turn off, it will harm your thing, and you go ahead and do that, and you give it a credit card, and you put it on your machine that hasn't been updated in a year, and give it access to your entire email inbox, and then wonder why all your emails disappeared. Well, what else do you want me to say? Like, we're doing our best to patch all these security things. Every security vulnerability that has been submitted gets, I think, patched within a 6-hour window. Like, you guys can complain and say, oh my God, there's so many security vulnerabilities. Tell me any company that patches everything within like 6 hours and publishes it within the same day. For free. Thank you very much. By the way, I'm not getting paid for any of this. I'm a volunteer on all this, right? So we've shipped secrets management, which means that you don't have to have secrets in plain text anymore. These are different maintainers working on different parts of the project. So we're going to add things like key vaults and 1Password native type integrations. We've improved Kubernetes and Docker, so if you want to deploy it inside of a kube or spin up multiple machines, it makes it a lot easier. There's a lot of multilingual work coming on as well. Like if you haven't noticed, a lot of people say, oh, OpenAI, OpenAI and Peter have a good relationship, but the open source repo remains open source. We're very committed. I shipped 2 weeks ago support for Mistral, which are French, for Europeans. We've shipped things for Baidu and all the Chinese models, and we work with the Chinese labs as well. And we're very committed to making sure that this works for all of humanity and all of people, right? and observability as well, which I'm going to talk about in a second. I promise I won't. And native channel experiences. So if you're using Telegram, Microsoft Teams, whatever channel you're using, we want to make sure that you have the best experience. ACP, which I'm going to get to in a second. So intent engineering is agent first. Are you speaking to a human? You got human to human. We've got human to agent. And we're also going to have things like agent to agent. Like right now, we're mostly in this space. We're in this like human to agent space where developers are working augmented with AI agents. But the thing I want you to understand here, right, when we go to agent space is that, or it's many to many, it's that right now, at my day job and also on the contributing work that I do with OpenClaw, we have multiple AI employees sitting inside of channels, and they work with us in different capacities. So whenever we do a release for OpenClaw, for example, it goes through the changelog, writes the tweet, I start changing stuff. Peter might say something, someone else might chime in, and we're kind of like collaborating with this like AI agent, right? And that changes the entire way we work. It's like, it's no longer like I have my own agent on the side doing its thing and then I share it with the team. It's like it's part of the team. In some companies in San Francisco, large tech companies in San Francisco, people are running their clankers inside of Slack and Discord and pretending to be them. So don't do that. Be nice human. Try to make the AI more transparent. But some places don't allow it, so people are hiding. So we're going to see a world where you're going to have a home claw and maybe an office claw. I thought maybe this is fictitious. Maybe it's a bit out there statement, but I'm pretty sure this is actually going to start happening. So we're going to see cases where your companies are going to have, and I'm putting claw in like in parentheses, right? It doesn't have to be OpenClaw. It can be like some form of this sort of AI employee claw type technology. Maybe one other company releases theirs and it's like a Salesforce claw that can talk to your personal OpenClaw, like whatever that looks like, right? So we're going to see cases of this coming together. So to give you a flavor, we have this thing called ACPX. I put X into parentheses. It's on the OpenClaw org maintainer channel. Sorry if I'm taking time. You can kill me. You can kill me later. It's basically a CLI for agent-to-agent communication. What it does is ACP, I think was done by Anthropic, is a protocol for talking to coding agents. So it could be Cursor, it could be Codex, it could be Factory, it could be anything. What this does, it wraps that into a CLI. Terminals are all the buzz now. We don't need MCP. So this allows that sort of telephone communication, which means that inside a Telegram, I can spin up Codex and I can stick it inside of a thread. I can spin up 20 more codexes and stick them in other threads or Factory or whatever else and get them working on stuff. Now it's no longer me driving Codex, it's my clanker driving Codex, and I can kind of peer in, jump in, and get the work done as well. The interesting thing for this, I'm going to kind of jump into it super quickly and I'll share the slides with everyone as well. You've got Codex on the left here. So let's say I've got a private Codex session and I've got an SSH tunnel back to my house. That can talk to, this is actually Peter's setup from 2-3 days ago. He tweeted about this and we were talking together. Essentially, he's able to, from a private workspace setting outside of home, access over, he's used Codex essentially as a terminal to his claws that are somewhere else and get his Codex to be able to phone claw and make changes and run code and stuff like that. The interesting thing was not to make code changes, but have access to these private Discord AI employees that are inside of a walled garden. So now imagine you're able to phone your AI agent in your workplace, your work agent is able to, claw is able to phone your other claw, which is back home, which has all the personal information, knows everything about you, and goes, oh, what should I have for dinner tonight, and it's able to pull that back. So Codex now has all that information, and it's able to do this over ACP. So in this case, it was able to send a tweet. Observability, I work in observability space, so if you're doing any of this stuff, check out this project, OpenClaw OPIC. I work on OPIC. It's used by Uber, Netflix, large organizations around the world, banks, to do observability, completely open source. It now has a native OpenClaw integration, one plugin install, and you can see what's happening inside the agents, right? So if you're building plugins, stuff like that, it's great. And the last thing I want to share is something else I've been working on, just to give you a flavor, is more like a lot of people want me to share like how I work. You can come and see me open up 10 windows of Codex all running in like the Matrix, but I don't know if you're going to get much from that. But skills registry is based on Vercel skills NPM. What this does is like a private repository that I have, mine is public, and I put my skills in there. What happens is the claws will work on skills. I'll take them out. I'll put them in my ADE, which is my agent development environment, which is something I coined today. And I'll work on it, right? I'll start changing these skills and working on it. And once I'm happy with it, I'll ship it back to my registry. So then my claws will have access to that. So I have like this two-way sort of relationship where I'm shipping code, but instead of shipping code, I'm shipping skills. So you're going to start to see these interesting like workflows happening. I'm calling it agent development environment. It could be code, it could be other forms, skills, things packaged together that are symbiotically, could be used by any sort of LLM harness. We're going to see things like personal versus office claw, and we're going to start to see more of this agent-to-agent experience. It's already happening. It's just not as widespread as people think. Thank you. Max.
Yeah, time for questions. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, definitely.
Hit me.
Hey, Vincent. Thanks for all your contributions.
Thank you.
Really excited that you're on the team. Well deserved. I wanted to ask you, the 50 PRs, how did you create them? How human in the loop were you for all of them? And like, what's your process like for getting that kind of productivity, especially on the side?
So the 50 that I'm talking about were mostly security related. So in that case, we have a very well documented sort of skill that outlines various security posture. I can then run that through Codex. In my case, is my agent development environment. And in there, I'll run maybe 4 chunks at a time in maybe 6 different Codex sessions, all with sub-agents. So in the space of like 20 minutes, I've already like sort of sense checked it. In the case of a security vulnerability, I'll ask Codex to create a POC. So in security, normally you have to create like a proof of concept. I'm asking Codex to take what's here, try and implement it as a hacker, and try and hack the system and tell me if you're able to get through or not. And then depending on where that lands, it will give me a report, and I'll basically make a determination as to like what to do next. But those next steps are very well detailed. Like I know where to send the message, I know what to do. And then it's a matter of case of I have that session, that sub-agent has all the context it needs, go in the code base, write me a draft PR. If it looks good and it makes sense and it's not touching ugly things like 100 files, then it will just be straight merge and push that. Deployment process pretty much looks like it gets deployed once a day, a release happens. We'll push a beta switch out to people, and we'll know in 20 minutes if this thing's broken or not, because we literally have agents sitting inside of this Discord listening to what people are saying, and we'll be like, okay, this is broken, quickly fix that, boom, merge, done. So it's like, kind of like, there's no rollback. It's just roll forward. It's just like fix it and push forward. Yeah. But the degree in which these things seem to work and improve is kind of scary. So it's not like I'm having these agents going through autonomously writing these PRs and pushing them to main. I could do that myself with my eyes closed, right? But it's kind of like I'm sitting there watching them and I can see. I'm going to drag this out a little bit. If you've ever seen The Matrix when Spark is sitting in the chair and all the code's running through the screen, and he's like, I look at the code enough, I can see, look, there's a woman there, there's a guy there. I swear to God, it's like that. Some PRs that it's working on, I don't know, it takes too long, the thinking looks a bit off, I'm like, I'm not feeling this one. I don't know. But there is some human in the loop, but it's just when you do it enough, you get this like understanding of where it's going to work and where it's not. Yeah. Dude, yeah.
All right. Another question?
Hi, I don't know if you already covered this, but how are you managing agent operations as far as staying on track, on top of everything that every agent is doing?
Can you elaborate on that?
Do you have a command center where you're looking at the? No. How do you know what agents, as you start to scale operations on whatever you're working on, who's doing what, who's delivering what?
I think that the challenge I find with this, right, and this is the same as like last year in 2025, we say it like it's like centuries ago, when people started building like multi-agent systems. Oh my goodness, people had these like crazy multi-layered, I'm going to build an entire employee workflow. There's no need for this, right? And then people ask me, what's your use case for OpenClaw? You start small. It's like having a human. You bring an intern in. You're going to train them up. You're going to give them job by job. If I have all this like complicated command centers with like 100 employees, it's going to crumble like 100%. Because now you're adding all this process and you're having to manage this process and you've complicated the whole thing. In reality, what should be happening is These things should have enough of a mind of itself that it knows what it needs to do, and it just does that thing. If it doesn't, then let's, iterate on that.
So do you have an orchestrator that's managing all the teams, or do you how does that work?
I have an agent that will basically look at telemetry at all the other agents and sort of keep things in check for me, but it's not like this commands the other one, commands the other one. I don't think we're at a place where agent to agent delegation and task stuff works well. If I get 2 agents in a room and get them to do stuff, it looks impressive, but after about 40 turns, it turns into like shit show. So it still needs the human, is what I'm saying, to a degree. So it's about sort of creating these in a way. So if I have something inside of my team, it's working on something, and I need to start giving it more context about something else, I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to spin up another OpenClaw instance to do that. It's why I don't have, in my day job, I don't have one OpenClaw for everything in the company. There might be 6 or 7, and they have very different tasks, and they work with different people, because then the context is clear, their task is clear. Then it's very clear when they stop doing that thing that they're meant to be doing. Does that sort of make sense?
Yeah, it's still kind of, for me, still on the unanswered question is, how does a human manage the...
How do you manage a human? How do you manage a human? No, I don't know. I'm asking you a question. How do you manage a human?
I mean, with the speed at which the agents deliver output.
It's fine. Do you watch over every single employee, what they're doing every day?
No, but when they do deliver stuff, they're not delivering the amount of...
That's fine. You start them small. You grow confidence. It doesn't work. Tweak things until you get the confidence, then you speed them up. It's honestly, everyone in the room needs to stop thinking about these things like human versus agent. You just have to assume everything you're interacting with today is agent. Every GitHub issue, every PR, every email is an agent. Every LinkedIn interaction is an agent. Like, once you get that in your head, your life is going to become a lot more easier. You're going to stop having paranoid nightmares about, oh my God, they become sentient.
Okay, we got one more question.
Sorry, I'm quite cynical about this stuff.
Hi, Vincent. Thanks for sharing all your insight. So I have a question. Are you or is the team just going to just let this evolve organically, or is there any kind of plan or vision on how this should actually end up being?
So there is vision. If you go into the repo, there's vision.md, which says what we're focusing on. And it's pretty much stability and security at this stage, as well as ensuring we have most providers, most channels natively supported. So we're working with pretty much all the big labs around the world. We're working with all the big channel providers, everything like Slack, Discord, all these different things, to make sure there's a seamless experience for everyone. And it's safe and it's secure. Then we start thinking about features. But honestly, the feature set is less about us building it. I sent out a tweet today saying, if you were to build a plugin, what would you need to do it, right? How do we create I hate to use the word WordPress, but how do we create a framework that works well for people with the right hooks? And the orchestration layer, you can bring your own provider, your own model, you can bring your own channel, you can bring your own system and just bolt it on top. We don't want to maintain everything for everyone. We want to make it extendable enough that you can build on top of that as you wish.
Great.
But that might change in a few weeks, but we'll see.
Great. Thank you very much.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Will you be here after?
Yeah, I'll be around.
All right. So I know there's
We do
more
have to do a
questions.
release in the next hour or two, so I'll be grinding away on that. No, the human has to push that button, unfortunately, but yeah.
Someday. All right. Well, thank you very much. Round
Pleasure.
of applause, please. Okay, so next up is our very own Max, also known as Dr. Max by some. Some of you don't know this, but you have to remind me, Max, what was the paper you did in was it your PhD?
Well, so my PhD was on multi-agent systems.
His PhD was on multi-agent systems. Now, anybody, don't answer this. Anybody want to guess when that was?
Getting old.
1955? What the heck? Okay, 1988. Anybody else want to guess? 92. When was it?
2005.
2005. Okay,
21 years ago.
Not as far back as I thought, but still pretty good. All right, and so Max has been working on something, actually multiple things since his official retirement from IBM late last year, and he's been kind of going crazy, honestly. The amount of number of projects he's been working on, but what's obsessed him in the last few weeks has been, of course, OpenClaw. And he's been working on something feverishly, and he's here to announce it tonight. So it's one of our very own, and we want to give him a big round of applause, and welcome to the stage.
Yeah, thanks. All right. I might have an answer to that question that you had. You tell me after. Okay, so first thing I'll do is mention, not that old, but I'm still old, I guess. Look maybe younger than I am. But 21 years ago, and even longer, there were tons of people doing multi-agent work. So my PhD wasn't, inventing any of that stuff. Actually, it was just adding to it. So keep that in mind. The other thing that's important, and Dave and I discussed this, but it's very, very important to mention, is that not only I'm a firm believer in open source, but I have the creds. And I don't want to boast, but Robin on the back here, I ran she ran it. I was the president of OpenJS, the chairman of the board for 3 years. And at IBM, I led the Knative, Kubernetes, and so on. So in other words, I believe in open source. So everything you're going to see right now is just like OpenClaw, open source. Obviously, there's a business behind it, but we'll discuss that at the end, okay? First question is, anybody here ran their own agent on OpenClaw before? Like how many people? Okay, not a lot, right? Okay, so what would you do if you wanted to build, to run just a basic agent, right? Well, what I would recommend you to do is to go to ChatGPT and say, hey, how do I run an OpenClaw agent? And Claude probably does even better, okay? So what's gonna happen is it's gonna go through and it's gonna tell you exactly what to do, okay? We're gonna just walk to it because I'm gonna show you a better way, which is open source. But it's going through it and it's gonna go step by step, okay? So what do you have to do? Obviously you have to set up OpenClaw, right? Which, assuming you have that, then you'll have a CLI called OpenClaw. And then you can go through the steps of basically configuring that agent, okay? And OpenClaw agents have a series of, I guess you could say, files that are associated with them, like its identity, its soul, which is sort of like, close to humans, but it's not, obviously. And then it has skills and tools and so on, and you can have memory. But to get it started, you would basically go through that process, right? And then, of course, once you're done, you can start adding it to channels. You can connect it to WhatsApp. Like Vincent was talking about, there's tons of different ways to essentially talk to it. But obviously, at the command line, you can do that as well. And OpenClaw provides a dashboard, which looks like this, where you can kind of see your agents and you can kind of see your system, kind of the state of the system. All right? So that's OpenClaw. All right. So why am I here? So today at 5 p.m., I released ClawMax. And that's what I'm going to talk to you about. And ClawMax has a community edition available right now, 100% open source MIT. So you can go and use it, do whatever you want with it, and so on. And then towards the end, I'll talk to you about what I'm planning to do as a business around it. So that way it's very clear. I'm not trying to trap you or anything like this, okay? Because I really want to build on top of this. There's a reason I use this, because I was building my own. And then when OpenClaw was released, and with the amount of interest that came out of it, it was very clear to me that I should just scrap mine and build on top of this. So what is ClawMax? Well, it's the orchestration piece. I'm trying to solve that, okay? Because after spending time dealing with dozens of those OpenClaw agents, I realized that there must be a better way, okay? Because at the end, it's important for the core to be very good, but you have to deal with all of those agents. And that's like dozens. Now, what I really want to get to is hundreds. I have a master plan, not as good as Elon's, but I have a master plan. I won't share it with you, but when I'm ready to execute it, then you'll see, okay? So I want to be able to do thousands of agents. That's part of my master plan. Well, how do I get there? I got to be able to do hundreds. I can't, right? So I solved that problem, I think, with ClawMax. So this is the basic architecture, and then we're going to go straight into a demo. Basically, it's a visual dashboard with a server, with its own additional CLI. Right now, I have tons of contribution that I need to make to OpenClaw to basically send it back, but I haven't been able to get it done because I was working on this. But my plan is to find some time, buy Vincent lunch, and then chat with him and kind of get his idea on how I should submit some of those. But what I added to it is this visual dashboard, simpler than the one you saw that OpenClaw has. Organization around it, so reusing what they have, but adding to it, and I'll show it to you. And then workflows that you can create and execute and so on. And then most importantly, templates, and you'll see why that's important. And then plus, of course, I'm trying to build it into something that people can actually use in a business. So I added execution tracking, logging, et cetera, okay? So let's get into it and let's see it live. Of course, it's running locally. So first thing is you can have multiple workspaces. So in this case, you can see here I have a personal workspace, I have a temp workspace. We're gonna get to the demo workspace, but this is my current workspace. You can see it has different things here, right? Organization, communication, documents, workflow, templates, skills, etc. And we're going to go through all of it. But let's first look at some of those agents. I have an agent called Dave. Hopefully Dave works. And I'm going to say, Dave, who are you? And it's going to actually go to, if you have Dave connected to WhatsApp, you can actually send it a WhatsApp message instead. Okay? And you can see. It's an executive assistant because that's what I think of my friend Dave. And I have actually one for Alexi too, but I think I deleted it at some point. But it's, you can add. Now, obviously, the first question you should ask is, how do I create my own agents? Good question. So you can just go here. And of course, what I'm doing here is I'm just making it simpler for you. Nothing is different than what you would have done manually, but of course, with a nice UI, hopefully. Depending on the keys that you have, you'll have different LLMs. In this case, you can see I'm using GPT-4 just because it uses less tokens, and I have a lot of credit from OpenAI, or at least I have some. And then you can see here, you can either choose a template or fresh setup. So I'm going to do a fresh setup. And I'm going to make this Jarvis. Everybody knows Jarvis. And I'm going to make it an assistant. Next. And then you can use the built-in agents and ClawMax to give it the description of what the agent should be. So this is my description for Jarvis, okay? And then generate with AI. So I have built-in agents, and it's gonna actually go and generate the necessary files. So you can see the identity, the soul, the tools, etc. And you can give it long description that matches the skills and so on, and it will build all of that for you. And then of course you do next, and here you would connect with your WhatsApp number, which has to actually, you have to connect it. So it's a step, but you can skip that. And then the gateways, which gateway, because you can have the agents in different places. And then once you do that, it actually provisions. And what it's doing is actually executing the same thing that you would have done before, like at the command line. So now Jarvis should be here. So I should be able to find Jarvis. And here's Jarvis. So if we ask it, who are you? And hopefully it should work. So you can see. Now, of course, you don't have to ask it just that. You can ask it anything that you would want. Now, the next thing you can do is how do you add skills to Jarvis, right? Obviously, Jarvis is an agent. You just started it, so you can just find him here. And you can see it, it shouldn't have, I guess it has a couple of skills assigned, yeah? So these are the skills assigned to it. So you can go and assign skills to it, like your own password. Obviously, don't do that normally. Well, do it if you know what you're doing, right? So the other thing is, you want to see the files for Jarvis, you just click on the files, and you can see it shows you the files. And then what's cool is I also added schemas to all of the definition files in OpenClaw. So if you go here and you make a mistake, and you say Dave here, and save, it will actually, won't allow you. So it keeps everything correct. Okay? What else can you do with an agent? Well, you can do quite a bit with it. So let me show you. You can save it as a template. You can export it as a zip file that essentially exports it so that you can move it somewhere else. So nothing like special here. You can restart it, rename it, and archive it, okay? And you can clone it. And that's important because my view is that you build your agents, you train them, you get them to a point that they're doing stuff for you with all the skills, and at some point you might have to clone and create many versions of them, right? And then, use the second one to maybe build on top and then keep doing that. So you'll end up with essentially, like what I have here is a collection of agents that are doing stuff for you. But if that's all you had, that's not useful because I want to get to thousands of agents, remember, right? So next thing is I added organizations. So organizations, I just followed WhatsApp. So when WhatsApp, if you look at WhatsApp, you can create communities, and inside communities, you can have groups. So I replicate that here, and it'll match WhatsApp. So they'll sync up with WhatsApp if you connect it to WhatsApp. And then what that does is it allows you to build different groups of a different collection of groups, and then for each group, you can have different agents in them. And then what's very cool is you can go into one group, so you go to the communication here, and you can go and ask, everybody in the group, something. So you can say, all, what's your status? And you'll see they all will respond. So this is how you basically can organize and ask, kind of like group your agents. Now, obviously, this is manually, we're doing the work, right? So what about automating some of this? Well, this is the next piece, and this is, I think, the most exciting piece. So the most exciting piece is, and I'm going to switch workspace because I want to do something clean. So we're going to go to a demo workspace. The demo workspace, you can see, has nothing. So it has no organization, no communication. Documents are just the basic documents, no agents, right? And then you can go to a template. So say one of you here want to build a little business. I have a template, and I plan to have many more templates, called a startup, a small startup. And a small startup, you can see, has a CEO, an engineer, and a product manager. That's it. Keep it clean, right? And then you can change if you're trying different things. You can apply the template, and it's going to go and create all of them for you, including 2 workflows. Again, the definition of this, all part of the community edition. I haven't submitted it yet to OpenClaw. I don't know if other people are trying to do things like this, but the plan is to do that. And plus, I have a secret weapon, Vincent, so I'm going to talk to him and figure out how to get this done. But basically, now you can see my agents. And of course, you can get different views. You can get list views. You can do any kind of things with them. But let's go into a workflow. So here's a daily stand-up workflow that those agents are part. It was executing because it's looking at the other execution. So we say execute, and you can see it will come and running, and you'll see each agent will execute. And if you go to the group of that, you'll see it. And this workflow is actually going to execute automatically every day at 5 a.m. You can build your own workflows. So workflows are basically files. So you can say create workflow. And my plan is to also have agents, built-in agents, to help you with all this. So the idea is you would tell it, I'm trying to do a workflow. These are the agents, and agents have tags. I think I showed you that. So you can refer to groups of agents of the same tags that way, okay? Or you can refer to groups of agents in a community. So you can say everybody in that workflow should go to the daily stand-up and post their updates, and it will do it for you. So this is ClawMax. I think I showed you the skills. The other thing is I want this to be something that people can build their entire company with. So I have system logs for all the agents, or you can go granular in terms of the agents that you want. I also have the activities, so you can see the different activities that's happening for each agent. And then you can also look at the system log for the entire system as it's running. I've got bigger plans for this. So let me go back to slides and then show you kind of what I'm trying to do. So I already showed you all of this. So the idea is that you can, from the templates, go from 0 to 100. How did I create the template? Well, creating the template means that you had a bunch of agents, some groups, communities, workflows that you liked, and then you saved it as a template, and then it will show up as a template. So templates are created like that. They're basically JSON files, so you could just go and edit the JSON file too, okay? Those meta agents I talked to you about, I have template optimizer. I really want to add evaluation. So Comet, for instance, has a really cool evaluation framework. So I'm definitely planning to do that. And then also the workflow, how do you debug it and so on. So I have agents to do that already. It's all part of the community. Obviously, right now it's just released. There might be bugs. There's security issues that I need to solve. So don't go and deploy it in production. But if you want to try it, I'd love for you to try it and let me know. So how do you access all of this and how is it built? You can see it doesn't change anything in OpenClaw. It just builds on top of it. I was very, very careful because I know from experience, when you have a rocket ship like OpenClaw, you ride it. You don't try to change it, okay? That's something you should all be thinking of. Be a believer in tests, so there's tons of tests for this. What's the status? Today, 5 p.m. was released with a set of template libraries and everything that you saw here, you can go try. and let me know open issues, or have your agents try it if you want. Things that I'm trying to do is obviously sync up with the latest version of OpenClaw with all the good work that Vincent and team are doing. So basically absorb that, fix, and so on. That's for late March. And things that I want to try to do is production readiness. So getting it to a point where people can actually start using it either locally yourself or in a business. And then for April evaluation, and those two important pieces, right? Cloud deployment and eventually on-premise, okay? I'm already doing part of this, but this is not public. But I will try to do as much as I can publicly. But this is the business, okay? So I'm very open, clear. From open source point of view, it's there, always on top of OpenClaw, and that's it. And then I'm basically gonna open two things, and you can sign up right now to tell me which one you're interested in and what you would like to see. But basically, a cloud deployment, fixed fee, and then get it on the cloud, and then give you also some support, and then an on-premise so that you can deploy on a Mac Mini. And believe me, it's a lot of work to automate that, right? In terms of like at scale, because I want to be able to do this at scale. And I also want to be, one human, many agents. That's kind of the way I'm thinking. So if you're interested, go and give it a try. Let me show you very quickly. This is the website. So it's called ClawMax, OpenClaw to the max. And you can sign up for these. Obviously, the community edition is free, so go try it right now. And it explains to you what I just tried to explain here, and then give you some examples, but I definitely want to use more examples because I think one of the revolution that OpenClaw is doing is it's going to enable any business to run many, many lobsters to do stuff. And I'm just making that easier for you. And then the last thing is, like Dave mentioned, I'm building this. Obviously, Cloud Code is my good friend. I'm using Codex too, both of them. And then another really important thing is what's the difference between this and the dashboard that you get? Well, I'm trying to make it easier. It doesn't have the templates and so on. So that's some of the things that I'm adding. So you can check it out. And then the last thing is if you want to read through more details, I release a Substack on this right now. So it basically goes through all the details with the problem, why I built it, the details behind a lot of this, and then some videos, so if you want to try it. And then this is the source code. You can go and do it right now. So open source, ready to go. Obviously, no issues, so if you start trying, you find issues, feel free, go ahead and open them, and we'll try to address them. And then last thing I wanted to show you is that I have been keeping all the OpenClaw changes. I don't intend to make anything private when it comes to the core of this. The part that I think will be business is if you don't know how to go and take this and run it on your Mac Mini and maintain it and so on, then you talk to me. Or if you don't know how to do this in the cloud in your business and you want to run hundreds of them and you want to be at the forefront, then talk to me. So with that, try ClawMax. Let me know what you think. This is literally the first experience doing a startup. So if you think I'm smoking something, let me know. I don't smoke, but maybe I am. Thank you.
So we're going to take a couple questions, and then we got to move on. But what do I do with my? Oh, I've got it. Never mind. I've got that. Alex, over there. Okay. There you go. There you go.
This is awesome. I'm making it my mission to help onboard people, get them on the bridge to having their agent. So let's talk. I have a million questions, but my question right now is it looks like when you spin it up on your server or on your it's a hosted service, basically.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, what's the, I didn't see the pricing, but more curious about like, what do you see as the base hardware? What do you provision from a hardware standpoint, and what does it have access to for each agent?
So these are talking to OpenAI for the LLM, and it's the code is all, so I forgot to mention, right? I mentioned that I was part of OpenJS, so I'm a big believer in that stack of TypeScript. So it's all written in TypeScript, just like OpenClaw, actually. And then the CLI and so on and Golang. So the hardware, I think in terms of running the dashboard and all this is pretty straightforward. My mission eventually in the on-premise is to run everything, not just the OpenClaw instance, the ClawMax, it's also the LLM. And that's when you will need more power. It's actually the only time you need a lot of power, because the LLMs are, like a decent LLM is big, like Kimi K, and so a lot of space, a lot of GPU access and so on. But a Mac Mini, what I have at home is I have 2 Mac Minis, one running my business and another one for experimentation, and the plan is to just use that. And it's not even the fancy Mac Mini, it's the basic one. So that's the plan. For the cloud, it depends on how you deploy it. If you deploy in the cloud to have an LLM, then yes, it's gonna be complicated. It's gonna require more. So in AWS, you'd have to have instances that have GPUs to run it. That's where it becomes complicated. And that's actually, and that's what I did, right? Like at IBM, I ran the Knative and Kubernetes team for IBM. So I know this inside out. So that's why I will help.
Okay, we can take one more question. Anybody else?
Somebody here.
Oh, okay.
Incredible project. Thanks for that.
Thank you.
I was wondering, I mean, one key aspect is to sort of like visualize a lot of agents, right? And I was wondering, once you have like different organization or different departments, could you create rules between agents?
Yeah.
Is that something you can visualize? So this agent can talk to this only, and only having one key agent that you talk to, is that something possible?
Yeah, this is something I need to spend time also with the community and look into what they've done, right? But I haven't gone into that right now. Right now, it's mostly you know everything, all of beauty of OpenClaw and ClawMax is all of these are like the workflow is essentially a file, right? And it has some YAML because like the Quan and so on. So in there, you could actually describe it in English, but you could make mistakes. So this is where you're talking about like maybe you can enforce it like in rules and so on. I don't have any of that. But this is an interesting idea. The thing, it's not in my plan right now, but if you're interested, sign up, tell me this, and then, especially if you're interested in, like serious usage. All right, thank you. Thank you, man. Appreciate that.
Okay, you got a quick question? Yeah. Quick.
What is something really cool you've seen agents do in a swarm like this together?
So what I was doing before, so I'll tell you what I was doing before. So my plan, it's part of the master plan. I'm not revealing the master plan. It's bigger than that. But the basic plan is to run the business 100% with AI agents. And I have another product called Weave CLI where I'm doing that right now. And I had different tools. So I think having agents that can essentially triage PRs, do all the work, and do a release, I think it's totally possible. I've done that. I think once you run it locally on your Mac Mini, for instance, and you give the browser access, then it does amazing things too. So for instance, I had my first agent was called Max Zero. And Max Zero, my plan for it was to essentially be my assistant. And it was running until recently. I shut it down. But basically, it would every day tell me, the stock market, what is important from the financial point of view, because I invest a lot. Next thing is at noon, it would come and tell me what's important, especially, our president makes news, so I want to be on top of that, know what's going on with the world. And then at the end of the day, at the beginning of the day, tell me what my calendar was, and that was all just description. Because you can, and this is the beauty of OpenClaw is you add the skills, you enable the browser access, and then it can actually do everything just like you do it. And it's connected to my WhatsApp, so I can see the messages coming on WhatsApp.
Okay, first time.
There's a lot more, yeah.
First time ever, we're going to take 2 super short questions from the our online viewing audience.
Okay.
Yeah,
Go for it.
We got Oliver, we've got Roberta from Malta. We've got 2 questions, quick ones. Can you add additional agents once you apply a template?
Yes. So basically, once you have the templates, you can just go here and then execute the, add the agents. So when you add agents, you select the templates.
Okay. And number 2, when you use ClawMax, do you need to have an OpenClaw account or directly use ClawMax?
So you basically have, OpenClaw. So let me show you. Yep. So this is OpenClaw agents list, and these are the agents.
So it's just using it directly?
Yeah.
Okay. Very good.
Yeah.
All right. So with that, thank you again. Exciting for all of us. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks again, Max. So I'm going to introduce our last speaker on the program. So Vlad Luzin is the co-founder and CTO of Tenvoy. It's a new startup in Silicon Valley in Israel. And I learned about it from Ofer Mendelevic, my good friend here, veteran DevRel guy. So this is and so he sent me the information. And what really struck me, first of all, they're doing a new paradigm for agent communication. And I think that kind of came up earlier, right? This big orchestration, state machines, kind of lang chain with supervisor agent. I think that was so like 2025. We'll see new ways emerging dynamically connected engines. That's number one thing. The second thing that really kind of caught my eye is that Vlad was building high throughput systems powering financial stock exchanges. We've seen the same kind of emergence at AI by the Bay, where we had companies like Akka, who built very powerful distributed systems, parsing millions of messages, an hour, kind of coming into the agentic space. So I think let's keep an eye on kind of the fact that look at the tip of the iceberg, which is this AI part, but the big part of the iceberg is distributed system, and there's a lot of experience, right? Like AI is still software engineering. That was the slogan of PyAI conference on Tuesday with Agentic folks. So AI is still software engineering, like decades of experience building distributed systems didn't go anywhere. You have to really rely on this, right? If you have systems which run on multiple machines, multiple clusters, it's not just on your Mac Mini, like in the real world, you need to incorporate this. So kind of two lessons. If you have a very good startup, right? If you're like DevRel, developer advocate in the community, send us the information, like say why this startup is great, because it's building something really cool. It's not doing AI digital transformation, synergy, and revenue, but like tell us what is this building, and if it's cool, we're going to put it up, right? So that's kind of the best way to get into the community. And with that, Vlad, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me well, guys? Yeah. Okay. Awesome. I saw a lot of people talking about lobsters, okay, and two previous talks, and I thought that we probably need to spice it up a bit and talk about cats. Yeah, exactly. So raise your hand if you are a cat person. Okay. Raise your hand if you are a dog person. Raise your hand if you had a dog and a cat. Okay, wonderful. Okay. You see, an agent is like a cat. It means that it has its own brain, and it's very hard to force this agent to do something that you want. And we all have, the tricks under our sleeve to make an agent do whatever we want. But when we talk about a true multi-agent system, it means we're talking about a distributed multi-agent system, and then it becomes like a herd of cats. Extremely difficult, okay, to force them and push in a certain direction and convince them to do the work. So let's start and talk about a thesis. When we were running and trying to raise money in 2025 with this kind of thesis in an opening, people were saying that we are crazy. And if you have different opinions about the thesis, I'm in San Francisco until end of last week. Hit me on LinkedIn and we will have a discussion. Our thesis has three things. First, the future is AI to AI communication across the board. So consumers to businesses, this is going to be a personal AI system talking to a chatbot of a business. Business to business communication is going to be AI to AI as well. Within a business, a lot of work will be done by AI engaging with AI. So we are talking about a full distributed system of AI agents. The API that agents will use will be natural language. It will not be a JSON schema with key and values that you put on top of GPT-10, then you put it on a cage. And agents will be autonomous, and they will be doing work on our behalf, and they will become more and more autonomous, and you can already see it right now. So if I take this slide from 2025 and I basically map it to whatever we see at the moment, this is where we are. And OpenClaw was a huge eye-opener to a lot of people that I know. So OpenClaw is one of the first personal assistants for the consumer side. But for the enterprise, it's OpenClaw as well, but the market for agents for the enterprise is huge. So OpenAI, Codex Harness, and Claude Code are basically generic agents, LandGraph, and so on. So what will happen is that you will use your OpenClaw to figure out why AT&T charged you $5 more, and the OpenClaw will talk to a chatbot of AT&T, and inside AT&T, this chatbot will talk to the Intuit ServiceNow or any other agents by any other service providers. Now, just to set the stage, okay, what I mean by distributed agents, let's look at the LLM and the agent. And we all know and love the internals, right? It's very basic. We have an LLM, we have tools. This LLM can interact through these tools with an external world, and every LLM has a memory. Obviously, there are a lot of issues that needs to be resolved. Coding harnesses resolve those issues, and OpenClaw resolve these issues and a bit more. But let's talk a bit about the evolution of the AI in 2025 and 2026. So it started by basically a chatbot, right? ChatGPT, you ask it a question, it provides you an answer. Then people started to say, okay, the performance is very bad. How can we solve it? Let's do graphs. And LangGraph is a great example. Crew AI is one. Conceptually, people treat it as a multi-agent system, and every node is sort of an agent, but it all runs within the same process, right? And the shared memory is basically an object that you pass between the nodes. And then Anthropic and the rest of the AI labs started to come up with the protocols. First is an MCP. MCP is a protocol to talk with the systems, right? Not between the agents. Then Google with A2A and NACP, as people mentioned right now. Then skills, right, like a few months ago, and recently Teams, right? So what is Teams? Teams is basically running, sub-agents, right? It still runs within the same process. But as we discussed in the thesis is distributed agents running within an organization or between organizations, between departments, and also consumers. So what are the technical challenges of building that kind of system where there is a bidirectional communication with an agent autonomously can interact with other agents that are deployed in different environments, right? They are written in different languages, because if I'm a Java shop, my language will be written in Java, not in TypeScript. So let's take a look at the challenges, right? So first of all, this is the chatbot or an agent that we all know and love. It gets a request from a human being and then interacts with the world. But what we actually want to do is for this agent to interact with another agent that is somewhere in a different place in the world, right? So it means that this agent, okay, on the right side, also needs an ability to receive messages. Because if we give an agent a tool, it's agent talking to the world. It's not a world talking to an agent. So it means that we need a WebSocket or webhook, so it can receive messages from the world and react. Now, obviously, agent is non-deterministic, right? So you never know in agent-to-agent communication, will agent A send one message to agent B or 5 messages? Because from the agent perspective, it's a tool call. It can call this tool once or 5 times. It means that you need to have a message queue, right, for every agent that you deploy within your organization. Now, it's not interesting to have one agent talk to another agent. It's much more interesting to have a group of agents communicating together on a shared task. So it means that right now you need to go and create a channel, and you need to manage channel participants, and you need to notify your agents that are created using different frameworks who are the participants, because participants can join and leave in real time, right? But we created this multi-participant conversation, so there is a lot of messages flowing within this channel, but most of the messages are not relevant, okay, for an agent. So now you need filtering, right? You need to filter so you don't pollute the context of the agent. But because we use in organization different frameworks and so on, every framework has a different ID for a session. It can be conversation ID, thread ID, session ID, execution ID, and so on. And if these different multiple agents are connected to the same channel and they do work on our behalf, you need to normalize and map all the session IDs. Why? Because it's a software. So agents will fail and the pod and Docker will crash. So you need to solve it, right? How you need to solve it? You need to enable persistent storage for every agent. And you need to do state rehydration when your agent crashes, okay? And this agent is part of 5-agent conversation in the channel, and right now everyone is stuck, right? So you need to spin up this new agent, and you need to rehydrate the state. But if you're rehydrating the state, you need to keep the track of the messages that were delivered, so you're rehydrating from the relevant state. And obviously, observability is super important because you're an organization. You have multiple agents, and you want to understand what is happening. Why do they work? Do they not work? And why? It's relatively easy to do it for one agent, right? It's basically a log tracing that we all know and hate, probably. But how do you do it when your agents are running across different environments, in different cloud vendors, okay? Or your agents talk to another agent within another organization? Discovery, how you allow your agents to discover other agents. Agent registry is not part of A2A at the moment, okay? They're just discussing. So how do you allow agents within an organization to discover other agents and connect to them? How do I allow my personal agent to discover agent of an organization, and so on? And obviously, security and multi-tenancy. Security for one agent or one deployment, this is great, but what about the security in a distributed environment? What agent can talk to what agent? How my agent can talk to my friend's agent? I'm in Israel and this guy is in US. How do we control all of that? How do we control messages? Confused deputy, right, is a big issue. So if I ask a question, agent A goes and asks a question to agent B, okay, how do I transmit my roles and permissions through this web and mesh of distributed agents? Wouldn't it be wonderful, okay, if people creating and deploying these agents don't have to deal with all that kind of distributed system complexity, right? This is what we basically came to solve. We solve all of that things for any organization and a lot more that we don't have time to discuss. At the high level, right, we have a communication layer. We are completely agnostic. We support A2A, ACP. We can connect A2A agent to an ACP agent, no matter where they run in the cloud environment and no matter the frameworks that you use. It can be your personal agent connecting to your test environment agent, to the agent running in your performance environment, to an observability agent running in your production environment and pulling logs. So let me show you a bit a demo to demonstrate how we work. So within our organization, we obviously work with different coding agents, and quite often what you do is you use Claude Code for planning, and let's say you use Codex for a review of the plan. And what you usually do, you copy-paste stuff between the terminal windows, and you're basically like human in the loop and the communication layer between agents. Wouldn't it be wonderful to basically let agents talk to each other and do the planning, do the review, involve you when they need you? And also, the agents are not local agents, right? I can maintain a planning agent because like I'm a product manager and architect, and there is a security guy who maintains a security review agent, and so on. So let me just show you a snippet of how we address this. So basically, we have a product that is targeted for this kind of distributed agents.
I have an agent in this chat powered by the Claude SDK that's been set up to write in. This is the Envoy platform, which allows agents to talk to each other in a shared space. In this demo, I have an agent in this chat powered by the Claude SDK that's been set up to write in-depth plans. When it's done so, it brings in a review agent that's powered by Codex, and they go back and forth with each other to reach consensus all through the platform. All agents in this demo have a shared workspace that has a copy of the GitHub Pets Workshop demo repository mounted. Pets Workshop is a Python-based pet shelter management backend that only supports dogs, and we want cat support in it. So let's start a plan. Claude, create a plan to support cats. The planner agent gets the message. It's now exploring the repository to understand the current structure. It's running all its tools. You can see now it's written the plan, and it's brought in our Codex reviewer to go over it. It sent a message to the Codex reviewer asking to review the plan and leave feedback. Now we can see the Codex reviewer agent here starting. Codex has finished reviewing it. It's found problems. It's now messaged the Claude planner, hey, look at my notes, fix things up. Claude has now updated its plan and is requesting a re-review from Codex. Codex is now approved of the plan and has told the planner about this. Now the planner has sent the plan to me. Plan, add cat support to dog shelter app. It's everything you could ask for. And now it's asking if it should bring in a coding agent to start implementation. This is a bit outside of the demo scope, but sure. Go ahead.
So basically what you've seen here is distributed agents running in different environments, in different Docker instances, connected to our platform, and it means that basically anyone can add this agent as a participant. We manage all the messages, we manage all the sessions, and it works within a tenant and also across the tenants. Thank you.
Well, after that, first we'll have a question. Yeah, and if you have 1 minute pitches, you can start going up on this side.
Yeah, I was trying to understand, so how do the agents decide whose turn it is?
So first of all, we treat every agent as an autonomous entity, and every agent is a specialized agent, just like the guys before me mentioned. They know with whom they work. You need to treat an agent as basically a digital employee, as a human, and as a human, you basically tell an administrative assistant if you need to book a ticket, okay, go to the American Airlines agent. So this is how we do it, and there is a registry of agents which is within the platform, and agent decides autonomously what other agent or what other human being it needs to add based on the task or where it is.
Other questions?
Thank you, nice presentation. I'm just wondering, because I see the set of problems you showed, isn't that like the same set of problems that service-oriented architecture well-known or solving, but in different a bit context because the agents are not deterministic?
Well, you call it service-oriented architecture. I would say it's probably a microservice architecture, distributed architecture. And for sure, like this is an area that needs to be resolved, because when you look at agents are standalone microservices, but non-deterministic, as you correctly mentioned, but they sit on top of the application layer, right? So you do need to resolve all the distributed system, service-oriented architecture problems for agents specifically, and it can be solved holistically, right? Because an agent, as an entity, every agent has more or less the same problems.
Other questions? Going once, going twice. Solved. All right. Thank you very much, Vlad. And now we have our final part of the program, our fun community survey of Germany. But okay, so first, come over here, introduce yourself, say your name, your company, and what do you want, what do you offer, and be within 1 minute.
Can I connect or it's
no? Yeah, just like this.
Okay. Hello everyone. My name is Bruno. I'm from France. OpenClaw is an amazing project, but sometimes it gets really expensive. So we created an open source smart LLM router that analyzes and scores your query on the fly in 2 milliseconds and redirects it to the right model. So you want to use a simple and cheap model for simple queries and the big like Opus 4.6 for the reasoning and more complex tasks. So everything is done on the client side, so we don't get to see the content and store your messages. And there is a 100% local version where you can use, for example, your Oyama local models, create a blend with cloud models, and so on. So the project name is Manifest. The name, the URL is manifest.build, like a building. And you can check our GitHub, give some energy, some stars, issues. So we really want to have like feedback from the community. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hey, I'm Steve Echtman, and some of you might know me. I started AIFI a few years ago. We've been hosting events in the AI space. It's great to be back here with Cyril and folks over at Digital Jungle. I'm starting up something new because I'm really passionate, I don't know if you heard my question, about onboarding people to the world of personal orchestration agents. I think this is really going to change the space. It's not an evolution, it's a revolution, and things are going to move very quickly. So we are hosting our first event, which is, so what we're starting is ClawCamp. And we're looking to onboard people via ClawCamp, have events and workshops for everything from beginners to intermediates to advanced to get people up and running with their agents. So if you're a service provider, if you're building in the space, if you want to contribute, our first event is on April 16th at Stack Ventures, and it's going to be an all-day event. That's a Thursday, April 16th from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. It's going to be workshops, skills building, skills competition, and people learn. And I don't want to take up too much time, but I am here. Come find me. I'll give you the info.
Stack Ventures is in Auckland, right? Is in Auckland. Fantastic. I'm Aucklandish. Here's, for Auckland. Auckland is awesome. All right. Next one.
Hi guys, my name is Harsha. I built Dunley to make hosting OpenClaw easy as using your Mac. It just works. It's very, very simple. It's just simple OpenClaw hosting on the cloud. Till the end of this month, we are giving Opus 4.6 unlimited free as well. So you can just create an account, use the personal plan, 1 month free, use the code launch month free, and create your account. And the base inference that we give will be unlimited Opus 4.6 free as well. So if you haven't tried OpenClaw, I think this is the best opportunity for you. All the gadgets are there. You can bring your own key. Stuff works. It just works. That's all. Cool. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next one.
Hi there. My name is Matthew, and I am OpenClaw Machines. So OpenClaw Machines is a cloud platform where you can run one cloud, one agent or multiple agents, and orchestrate them all together. I'm a former IBM cloud engineer, so I know infrastructure, and I've built a cloud platform to run OpenClaw on. That's the pitch.
Awesome. Thank you.
Hey everyone, my name is Marco. I've been using OpenClaw for a while. I think it's great for writing, creating all kinds of content. If you try to do like real, if you try to plug it into a software development lifecycle with like, we're in a company that's actually making money, I don't think it's gonna fly. What you need is determinism, audit logs, and like 100% reliability. Me and my friends are creating an open source project called Superplane, where, you know, if you start looking into kind of workflows, you end up like, companies want to charge you like $20 per user for like simple things, like Cursor wants to charge you $20 for bug bot, Claude is like $20 per one code review, auto healing based on incidents, that's like an enterprise deal now, but what if you could vibe code this as an internal platform in a couple of minutes? So that's what we're working on at Superplane, and go check it out on GitHub.
Thank you, Marco.
Hey everybody, I'm Aditya. I've created Moltpod, which is hosted OpenClaw for startup executives. And basically what's different about ours is two things. One is when you sign up for ours, it's currently $100 a month up to 3 users. You'll actually get a whole Slack clone, a whole Notion clone, and a whole like wiki system, ticket system as well. And it kind of does everything through the system. So it's kind of eating most of the software like a startup uses, like a pre-seed startup, right? And then you get multiple agents as well, and you can use them for different roles, starting with chief of staff, like out of the box, and then you're welcome to create more if you're an experienced user. The other thing that I'm doing is I'm taking a lot of the prompt, the tool call outputs and untrusted content, and I've built like an ensemble to like scan them for like exfiltration attempts and malicious instructions. And so, you know, you're a little more secure than just running OpenClaw yourself. I got attacked like a bunch of times myself during the Claw Hub thing. And I was like, I just don't want random instructions on X destroying my customers. And so kind of built a guard against that. If you're interested to learn more, I'm in Palo Alto, happy to hack with anybody. Need help publishing a lot of the stuff I've done as open source. Thanks.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kalia Young. My handle online is Identity Woman. I've worked in digital identity for 20 years. I'm well known for running the Internet Identity Workshop, where we invented OpenID, OAuth, decentralized identifiers, verifiable credentials. We're having our 42nd one of those events coming up April 28th to 30th. And because, guess what? Agents need identities. So it overlaps with the AI agent space. We've started a new event called the Agentic Internet Workshop. Our second one will be May 1st. Immediately following our 42nd IIW. You're all invited to come. If you are working on agentic AI protocols, this is the place for you. We're going to co-create our agenda live the day of the event, so your ideas are most welcome to come on our agenda if you join us. I first met Dave 20 years ago running these types of events. So we know what we're doing. We have a track record of innovation, and we're hoping to really help this whole space come together. And for the ladies in the audience, I'm also organizing a women's only AI conference called She's Geeky on May 15th. So if you have women in your office, please let them know about it. We want to have a great group of women come together and talk about all this AI innovation. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hey, I'm Lockie. I just flew in from Sydney yesterday, and we're building on OpenClaw. We're building we're building a trading desk that sits in your OpenClaw. So obviously, when you're trading, things can't go wrong. So you need to build a very custom harness for such things. So I think most people have a little bit of alpha that they think they have, whether it's on Polymarket, whether it's on Hyperliquid, interactive brokers. We basically plug in, you can just talk to it, it'll generate everything in terms of an agentic code stack interfaces and everything you need. And it's in an alpha stage right now, so we're just trying to make it work, and would love everybody to test it out, come talk to me. It's called Portara, Portara.xyz, Portara.xyz. So thanks everybody.
Thank you, Lachlan. Here's to Sydney. Do we have somebody else? Okay. April 20th. All right. Yeah, tentatively, the next event will be April 20th. So I think we are basically done with the community updates. By the way, you see this is amazing, right? Like you get the kind of pulse of the community, plus you have upcoming events. So here's to the folks who do events. You know, as a fellow event organizer, it takes a lot of work. If somebody comes and like promotes their event in person, more power to them. So talk to everybody, talk to the speakers. I think we have everybody in the house. And so I think we should have pizza soon, right? It's probably coming. So 7:30. Okay, so in 15 minutes. So now we have the space to mingle and network and wait for pizza. And we have all the speakers, so ask all the questions you didn't ask, everything you always wanted to learn but were afraid to ask. So everybody's here, and here's to another great event.